I googled our keywords this morning. Why can't I see our ad? If as a director you have ever asked that question, you are absolutely not alone. As a Google Ads expert, I have been asked that hundreds of times by clients and different businesses. And so I thought it time to finally answer that question. If a Google Ads account is run effectively, you as a director absolutely should not see the ads. And so while a number of managing directors or other people within your team might think you need to see them, and that is a metric for Google Ads success and a metric for your ads being seen, you are incorrect, and I just want to discuss some of that. So in this video, I'm going to explain why you should be invisible to your Google Ads and why it shows that the system is actually working. And the first reason is that you are not the customer. A good Google Ads campaign is set up in a way that you tell Google to go and get you more customers. And everything you as a director or business owner is doing within your Google Ads campaign is showing to Google, you are not the customer. You are not who we should be spending our ads budget to appear for. Take this number one. How many times have you Googled your business's name and you've put it into Google, whether you're just trying to get to the website? You've probably seen your ads 50, 100 times. Hopefully you've never clicked on them because that will cost you money. But even if you do click on them, you probably haven't inquired, we hope. You probably haven't filled out a lead form or made a purchase or made a phone call. Both of those are signals that you are not the customer to Google. You've seen the ad and you've not clicked, or worse still, you've clicked the ad and not inquired. So if your Google Ads campaigns are set up to get you more customers, to get you more leads, and every action you've had with your ad has shown that you're not a customer and you're not interested, Google will give up, which is great, and stop spending money or being prepared to spend money on you. Just further to this still is that you have probably not shown purchase intent to justify the ad being shown to you. So Google can be really intelligent, and unfortunately, Google can use this intelligence to justify businesses spending 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds per click on their Google Ads campaigns. So let's say, with the simplest possible example, your business sells microphones, like this one I've got in front of me right now. Google can justify businesses that sell microphones to spend quite a high amount on a click because Google can be confident that that person is about to buy a microphone. And that's not because they've just searched for it right now, but perhaps they've searched on a number of other business websites. They've looked at some of your competitors. Perhaps they've been looking at blogs or YouTube videos, reviewing the best microphones. All of these are signals to Google that this person has a huge intent to buy, and you as a business should be willing to spend your money to get that click and appear there. As a business, you probably aren't giving Google high purchase intent actions. You might well be, but people within your team, for example, probably aren't reviewing all of your competitor websites and all of the other indicators to Google that you're a customer. To expand on this further, Google will be hopefully gaining an unbelievable amount of data as to who your customers are, and you probably aren't one of them, or you may well not be one of them. If Google, for example, has been running Google Ads campaigns successfully for yourselves for the last 10 years, and it's seen that 80% of your customers are females between 20 and 30 years old, Google will rightly, through smart bidding and as a key to getting great results for you, focus on spending most of your budget on people in that age range or people in that gender specifically. And if you do not match that, Google won't be showing the ads to you, and that's good. The goal of Google Ads isn't to show Google Ads to as many people as possible. The goal is to spend as much of your budget on the highest intent searches as possible. And you might be the complete opposite to someone that Google has decided from its data is more likely to buy, and so Google won't show you that ad. And that's great news. Aside from the more literal sense, the fact that you are not a customer, there are also actually technical considerations that Google has to stop specific people seeing their ads. So for example, some businesses can have IP address exclusions set up specifically around their location so that they don't see their ads too often. Sometimes this can make sense to do this around your business address. Sometimes it can make sense to do it around your competitor's business address. This is a technical tool that you can use within Google Ads to exclude certain locations. Google also does this specifically to reduce click fraud. So it will do this based on either generic IP addresses, although the literature for that isn't too clear, but they absolutely will do this for specific users. They will limit ads showing again and again and again to the same person to avoid someone just continually clicking on your ad and wasting your hard-earned money. Another key reason your ads probably aren't showing It's because you can't afford it. And again, that is absolutely fine. Google will try and spread your budget through the day as much as possible, but it will weight that budget towards opportunities that it sees of getting you customers. So absolutely, you can run out of your budget very quickly through a day. If you're offering a nationwide service, so let's say you sell hospitality or corporate hospitality to those looking to go to sporting events, so corporate hospitality packages. You might have a Google Ads budget of £100 per day, and that doesn't always work like that. You might spend slightly more or slightly less. But you might Google your own name at 1 o'clock and you might have burnt through all of your budget in the morning. Ideally, that budget has been spent because Google has spent it on searches that it believes are high intent and most likely to inquire, and that's fine. Just like we said in that first section, you want your budget to be spent on those people most likely to buy, and you've potentially have used all of your budget by the time you decide to click and Google it in the afternoon. Also take that on the flip side. If you Google in the morning, Google will potentially be trying to spread your budget. You won't appear for every single search between 9 and 10 and 10 and 11 and 11 and 12, because if you did that, you'd have no budget for the afternoon. And so Google will try and spread it and essentially wait for those high intent searches and use those in the best way possible. You absolutely can't and probably don't want to be able to afford to pay for every single search 9 to 5, 365 days a week. And so Google will be adjusting that accordingly, either by already spending your budget on high intent searches or waiting to spend your budget on high intent searches. And as we said right there at the start, you are almost certainly showing to Google you are not a high intent searcher. And another thing businesses really should consider within Google Ads is appearing too much is actually a really bad idea. And that's kind of a combination of the 2 points we just made earlier. We want to give Google the ability and the data to spend our money on the searches that are most likely to generate inquiries. That is fundamental number one. However, if we give Google so much money, and we know that Google loves to spend its money, it doesn't have the opportunity to go and find and cherry pick the best leads to appear for you, because what it'll actually do is just appear for everything. A perfect example of this, generally speaking, comes down to impression share. A great example of this actually is what I kind of deem the Amazon approach when it comes to Google Ads. So Amazon are the absolute bane of my life when it comes to some of the Google Ads campaigns we run for our clients. Because let's take this for example. We might have a client that sells a very niche pair of high performance, spring-loaded running shoes. Amazon might not even stock those, but Amazon will be pumping so much budget into its Google Ads that it will say, as long as someone searches for running shoes, we want it to appear, irrelevant of how high intent that search is or whether we even deliver the product. By doing that, Google pumps so much money into the Google Ads machine, Google doesn't really have the ability to spend money on the highest intent searches because it would just spend them everywhere. The goal for businesses shouldn't be to appear for every single search, but try and find that Goldilocks zone where you're appearing enough that Google could then have the data to find the best value leads and spend your budget there. If I'm here telling you that Googling your own name and seeing if you appear isn't a good barometer of whether your ads are appearing enough, what metrics should you use? Unfortunately, Google actually has some proper metrics that we use, and those are the ones I report back to our clients and our customers to say that our ads are or aren't showing. First of which is your search impression share. Very simply put, and this is a slight oversimplification, but essentially search impression share is your market share. Of the searches you could have appeared for, how many of them did you appear for in some capacity? So your ad was shown, somebody saw it, it was an impression. Generally speaking, and it doesn't absolutely work like this, if your search impression share was 50% and you doubled your budget, it would get to 100%. It doesn't work like that. There's actually kind of quite significant diminishing returns on that. But as a general understanding, that's kind of where your market share is. Next, Google gives you two other metrics. So it gives you search impression share top and search impression share absolute top. So the first one, search impression share top, just means that you appeared in the top page listings. So generally the first 3. And that is ideally the one you want to look at. Search impression share just means your ads appeared in some capacity, but it's very rare that high intent searchers click on the ads right down at the bottom of the page or on pages 2 and 3. So really you do want to appear in those top 3. Search impression share absolute top is an interesting one because I also think too many businesses obsess over this. This is appearing in position 1, which some people see as the gold standard, but there are massive diminishing returns here on whether you actually want to appear in position 1, and sometimes it can cost 3 times more for a click in position 1 than it can position 2. I would much rather our clients appeared second 3 times rather than appeared first once. So it's not the absolute be all and end all most important thing of your Google Ads campaigns to always be appearing right at the top. But as a general rule, when you're trying to understand whether you are actually appearing, look at those impression share numbers within your Google Ads campaigns and use that as your barometer. Another great tool within your Google Ads campaigns is the Auction Insights tab that you can see there on the left-hand side of your Google Ads. There's a range of metrics in here, but essentially it will show you who you are appearing against. And you can either do that for a whole campaign, or with enough data, you can do that for a specific keyword. You'll see in there you get lots of different options. Overlap rate is really interesting, like how often do you and this competitor appear on exactly the same ad or the exact same search, but also you'll see how often do you appear above them, how often do you appear below them, and get a really good understanding of who you're being compared against. I do also always find this tool really useful because just because you're appearing against people that might not be your direct competitor doesn't necessarily mean you're in the wrong place. It could mean that they're in the wrong place. Exactly like I said with the Amazon example. They might have a very broad, hands-off, shotgun approach, will appear everywhere. Whereas if you've given Google enough data to appear for high intent searches, you're in a safe space. So just by appearing next to the wrong competitors doesn't necessarily mean that you're appearing on the wrong searches. So what I would say for all businesses is try where you can to avoid those anecdotes of I searched our ad and I didn't see it. Use the actual tools and data you have within Google Ads. Whether that's your impression share or the Auction Insights tab, that's the actual area to see how often your ad appeared. And I would say a key takeaway for businesses here is if you Google your own name and you don't appear, that's probably a positive and you should smile rather than be worried. However, what I will say from years of experience is often I find directors asking these questions, whether it's of us or their current provider, because it is a breadcrumb that perhaps they aren't that confident that their current provider actually knows what they're doing, and there's some doubt in that. That's why we like to educate through some of these pieces and just explain some of the logic behind it. However, if you do have general concerns or don't quite feel that your current provider has their finger on the pulse, then we offer a free audit service where we will review your entire Google Ads account and make clear recommendations on where you can improve and where you are potentially wasting money. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.